Hello everyone. Hey Nils. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi Arlemi, how are you doing?
Well,
I'm good.
Yeah, plenty of people joining from LinkedIn who've started streaming there like recently, and we always have like tons of people joining. So welcome everyone. Welcome to another web stream, another live stream from Postman, where we're going to do stuff with APIs. So I'm Arlemi, your host. I'm a developer advocate at Postman, and I live in London, and I'm here with Nils, which I'm sorry, I won't try to pronounce your last name because I don't want to.
Absolutely fine.
Don't want to be mean, but yeah, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nils Balketyksen. I'm lead QA engineer at Humanitec. We are based in Berlin, and we are building your internal developer platform. So our product is basically a way to connect your infrastructure and make your developers self-serving.
Cool.
So I'll talk a little bit more about this later, I guess, and we'll explore the API. And
we'll have plenty of exploration of internal dev platforms. So it's interesting because we often use APIs here just to kind of call one service and it does something. And this one, we're just going to build a whole workflow that creates an app. But let's keep it for later. We have Kubernetes fans on Twitch, Mina. I saw a few people. Hey Vikram. Hey everyone. I can't go through everyone. But yeah, hey everyone. What we start with is, in case you missed it, so we usually have Joyce that sings a little song, but she's not here today. And I'm not gonna ask you to sing.
No, I'm not gonna sing. That won't end nice.
So in case you missed it, let me share my screen. Okay, quickly, there's not a lot of things, but there is one big thing, which is that Postman now supports WebSockets. So if you've not seen that, I'll send a link in the chat for everyone to see and read about. Hopefully you can access that. But yeah, Postman since the beginning probably has been a REST client mostly. And now we finally integrated support for WebSocket APIs, which means you can send a request, connect to a WebSocket server, and just exchange messages and stay connected to it. So we have this article that kind of talks about it. But if the article is not enough, we also have a YouTube video that shows you how to use WebSockets in Postman. So it's in beta. We're always looking for feedback. If you try it and you have some feedback, again, on the article, you'd see a link to the discussion forum. So give it a try, let us know what you think, and then hopefully we can improve based on that feedback and make it even better.
The Humanitec API actually also has some WebSocket endpoints. I'm not sure if they are yet documented, but maybe if we have time towards the end, maybe we can try to
definitely
connect and have a look.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it myself yet, but it's a really nice feature.
Yeah, so we actually we support basic WebSockets and we support some libraries like socket.io, but there's some tricks to it yet, and we kind of writing the documentation as well. And I think documentation is always a thing on on every partner that we work with, every time we go to their documentation, we always find something that is not documented. So you've already given it to us, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, John. Hey, Hannah. Oh, she's actually not saying hi to me. She's saying hi to John. It's fine. But yeah, again, that was the main thing. There's a few other news, but if you open your app and go in the release notes, so if you open your app and then in the settings here, you have the release notes. Let me zoom in a bit. You actually have access to all the details. So again, there's WebSockets, but there's also a few improvements to how you can see the network information, or when you create a new collection, or I think actually when you click save on a new request, this whole menu is kind of new and there's a new design and UX. So yeah, that's it for in case you missed it.
Cool.
With that said, let's go on to the topic of the day. So today we're playing with, so you say Humanitec?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I never know if it's Humanitec or Humanitec.
Yeah.
Okay.
Humanitec. Yeah.
Okay. Humanitec. So Humanitec, internal developer platform. I'll try to talk about it, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Right?
Sounds good. Yeah.
So the idea is to provide your employees with an internal platform where they can, I guess, create different parts of their app or different parts of their infrastructure, whether it is like a backend, a frontend, a database, whichever, and kind of automate that in a way that they don't have to rely on a team, but more on a tool that is still handled by a team, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of, right? So yeah, you definitely have different parts to it, right? So on the one hand, you have the developers. Maybe you have a front-end developer who's really good at doing, like, I don't know, React applications or something like that. And maybe you have a backend developer who's good in, I don't know, Python or Go or any other backend language. And they are really good at their stuff. But then often, if you need someone to issue new infrastructure, like a new Postgres database, a new Kubernetes cluster, or someone like a DevOps engineer or a platform team, they also need to provide resources, right? And then sometimes it can happen that your development teams is requesting lots of resources, and then it doesn't get fast enough from a platform team and so on. So the idea behind Humanitec is to make developers self-serving, and also put DevOps into some sort of control, some sort of ability where they can basically dynamically attach resources like Kubernetes clusters, databases, DNS records, basically to the platform, and then say which team is allowed to use what and how they are using it. And the developer doesn't care, like if they deploy to a development environment, and this will maybe run on Google Cloud, but all the production environments run on AWS, for example. And the developer really doesn't care about it. And they just click deploy in Humanitec. And then on the DevOps side, they basically decide, like, these kind of deployments, they should go to AWS.
Okay, cool. Well, so someone actually just asked, Ayush just asked, what are we doing today? So what are we doing today? We're going to use Humanitec APIs, and the idea is that we're only using the API calls. We're going to create different parts of an app, and at the end of the stream, hopefully we'll have a fully fledged app with front-end, a back-end, a database, but I think I'll show a quick schema of that soon. And that's just running. So let's go into that. I'll be the guinea pig, and I'll just be trying to create it. And Nils is here to kind of walk me through it.
Yeah, you'll see this.
Yeah, if you see me going completely the wrong way, he's going to be the one screaming. Hopefully, we can get to that. Okay, so showing my screen. Let me switch that to dark mode, and then. Everyone, I'm sorry, I'm hiding your messages from the screen just so you can actually see what we're doing, but I'm still reading them. I can see them on my screen as well. Don't worry, I read you all. Cool. So, first thing first, maybe show the project that we're trying to do. So there's a Humanitec tutorial, and I'm going to send that link in the chat for everyone too. I don't need my account to be secure. Who needs that? It's fine. So 2 things here, right? Yeah. Let me know. What is it?
Okay, so basically you're looking at the Humanitec tutorials organization in GitHub, and we have two small tutorials here just to have some sort of example which we can deploy basically through Humanitec onto Kubernetes. And the one thing is a sample app, and that's a backend application. It's actually the front-end application, sorry about that, which is written in React. And then there's also the sample service, which is the backend, which is written in Node.js. And if you look at the schema here, we are basically coming from a web client point of view, right? And we are connecting to the front-end application, which runs inside a Kubernetes cluster. The front-end application is talking to the backend service, which is also running inside the same cluster in a pod next to it, right? So if you know Kubernetes, you know pods, but in the end of the day, it's containers we are talking about. And the backend is also talking to a Postgres SQL or SQL database. And this one will also dynamically create with the deployment of the application through Humanitec. So what we have connected to Humanitec already is a cluster. We have a cloudsql database instance, and and we'll look into this.
So we're, I guess we're going to create. Are we creating each of these ones one by one then?
So we are going to create the sample app, the sample service, and we'll also tell the sample service that it will use a resource of type Postgres database.
Okay, cool. I saw John asking link to this company and if they have a Postman publish collection. Well, they do, and we're actually going to jump into that right now. So I'll send the link here. That's Humanitec. So what do we start with? Do I just start by creating an account?
Basically you can go in the top corner. You can go, start free trial basically, and then you'll get an email with a link. I hope this is working for you.
Let's see.
Humanitec is offering a free trial, but we're also offering a community edition, basically, which is free to use. So
let me
just connect yourself, sign up, and basically what we are trying to get now is some way to communicate with the API, and therefore we need to be a valid user, right?
Okay, so I've sent that. In the meantime, let's look at the documentation that we're going to work from. So I'm in Postman. I'm going to look for if there is Humanitec Workspace, which there is. It's beautiful. Humanitec Public Workspace. And let's have a look in what's in the Workspace. Let me just put it back to... so that's the Humanitec public API, and I'm guessing this is your public API, and this is all the things that I will need for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are completely also generating this from code from our backend services as open API specs, and then it was quite easy to import those into Postman and then publish them.
Okay.
It's public workspace.
So we'll probably walk through this. What does it say? Authentication. That's usually the first thing we start with. Our request made. We'll need bear or attribute. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fork that collection in my own workspace, which is going to be public workspace of your life, and we call it stream. Okay, so in the meantime, let's see if I got an email asking me to create my account.
I hope so.
Follow this link to complete your registration. Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do it with the one. Sign up for free. Okay, I do want to do that. Can I do with email? No.
I'm sorry.
It's either GitHub or...
Yeah, it's either GitHub or Google account.
Okay, I'll do GitHub. Authorize. Okay. Name.
What? There's a typo. Yeah.
No. don't need to invite anyone. Okay, so that's the. I'm already in Humanitec right now.
Yeah.
So
maybe interrupt you very shortly. So usually what you would do is you would create a bearer API token to talk to the API. The thing currently is that we are reworking these kind of tokens to make them even more secure. So what I would like you to use instead is the JWT, which is also used by the front end, and you can get this one by just inspecting your network traffic, and then you have a valid token which we can use to talk to the API directly instead of this front end.
Okay. Do you want me to get it right now?
Yeah, you can do that. Like
if I go in my network,
and then you refresh the page, for example.
Yep.
And then there's users endpoint.
Yep. Here.
And if you go to headers.
Headers.
Then you can see the authentication. Authentication is basically not the response headers, but further down. Yeah, the request headers. That's
okay. Request headers.
And oh wait. Can you go up to the top? So then you use a different request. It doesn't matter. Click on dynamic or static or any types or images.
Yep. Dynamic request headers. Okay. Here we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing you'll have a better way to get that token.
Yeah. There's different ways to get this token. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this is what we need for all the requests. So we know we'll need that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in my environments, create a new one, which is going to be called Humanitec. And we'll call this one GWT. So I'm in a public workspace, so I'm not going to add anything to the initial value because otherwise everyone would have access to it. So I'm only going to use the current value. Also, I do not need the curly braces here.
Yeah.
If you see me doing wrong things about Postman,
what you can do also right away, like adding the prefix to the value.
Yeah, true.
Having this JWT capital letters and
space.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we have a variable JWT with my authentication. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to create a new. So we have that collection, which is the public API. We're going to use that one, but I want to create a new one that's going to be just for the stream. So this one is going to be deploy kube app with API. Okay. Do all requests need authorization?
Yes, all requests need authorization. Yeah.
So we can already do it here.
You can do I would use API key basically, and then you can define the key would be authorization, and then the value your variable.
GWT. So it doesn't pop it up because I did not select the right environment. Okay, authorization GWT, and now any request that I create in that collection will get that authorization set up, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's have a look at the documentation now, and we'll start to do the exploration bit of the stream. Can you run through the step-up process?
So what I usually do when I'm using the Humanitec API to explore, I'm usually hitting the user's endpoint. So this is something you would have also could have seen on the front end. Like this is an endpoint which is currently not documented because it's coming from a service which we still have to rework. But it's basically you're hitting the API on /users/me, and then you're getting your own user information. But we already have this information, right? So we know your username, and what's quite important for Humanitec API is to know your organization ID. And I think you put in Postman Stream as your organization, right? So basically what you could do is you could already add this org ID, and you see this also as a variable there. on the side, you could add this as a variable if you.
Okay. Yeah,
you
that's
would like.
probably it. Actually, so let me see. What's the base URL for your API?
There it is.
Here.
Yeah.
So that would be. Is that going to be the base for any call or just?
Yeah. So my org would be My org would be basically your org.
Cool. So let me go environment. Same again. I would add base URL, and then my org is. Is it case sensitive?
No, it should be all lowercase actually.
True.
And if you want, you can like if you still have the network tab open, you could double check there. But so this one, like if you look at any request basically on general on top, you can see that's Postman -stream is your organization ID. Perfect.
So I have my base URL, so now I can start creating my request. So you said the first call would be to. I don't even need my call to user now, right? Because
you don't need to.
Okay.
You don't need to do this call to user. So what you can do, for example, at the beginning is like get your application. So it will probably return like an empty list, but on hitting like /apps and then list.
So that would be this one, I'm guessing. List all applications.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is working like this. It's already.
It's already filled.
Okay.
And then this org ID, I'm also like a bit unsure about this notion with a quote in front. Like
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pass variable basically.
Yeah.
So you could potentially like where it says string as a value, you can probably just put in your organization ID as a variable, right? So from your environment.
Well, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to recreate the collection here.
Yeah, right.
So I'll duplicate this one. Move it here. And what I want to do, because my base URL is actually not written this way. I should have. Yeah, actually, let me write it the same way so I don't have to change it every time. Yep. Base URL. And then here, my base URL goes all the way to org ID, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't actually. Yeah. What am I doing wrong? Base URL? Save in. Cool.
Yeah.
So, and this has, it inherits the authorization, so it should work.
Yeah, we should see it also on headers, right? Yeah. Yeah, cool. So you're getting a 200 back, which is nice, and basically an empty object because you don't have any applications right now.
Okay.
So that's perfect. So I would say let's go and create an application.
Okay, so this one probably add a new application to the organization.
One thing I would like to mention about this while you're copying the request. So an application for Humanitec is kind of a container, basically. So what application can contain here is a set of environments for your application, and then each environment, like it could be a development, a staging, production environment, for example, which I believe would be most common, would then in those environments, then the applications would live with their different services. So you would have like a front-end service and maybe different other microservices and so on.
Okay. Quickly, Christophe saying bonjour. Hey, Christophe. Is it a Postman guide? It's not a Postman only guide. It's how to use Postman with Humanitec to create an app using APIs. And then we have Maya. Can you give a small brief for the app? Does the app do anything? Is it like a to-do app? Is it a specific?
So it's a very small list app, right? So it basically what it does once it's deployed is you have the front end and you can save a list of things. So it's basically like key and value, and then you can hit save. It gets saved to the database, and then the front end pulls it basically through the API from the database.
Okay. Cool. So add new application. What do I need? I need an org ID, which is already there, and then I need a body.
Okay. So now you basically need to define like the ID for your application and the name.
Do I choose the ID? Is it just a unique string?
Yeah, it's just a unique string. So like we have a couple of requirements on the ID. Like it needs to be lowercase. It can't have spaces. Dashes are allowed and things like that. It's just that you have a clean API object, because like how we build our API is that you have everything readable and in clear text. Like if you're working with an API, you want it to be readable in our opinion.
Okay.
And that's exactly the reason.
Yeah, and then name it could be the same one, but just with actual like spaces and capitals,
Yeah,
etc. Okay. Just work asked, did you onboard a cloud Kubernetes cluster to host this? I think I missed that at the start. So we onboarded on Humanitec, and then how does that work?
Yeah, so if you register with Humanitec and are basically in this free trial tier, there is a demo cluster connected already to your account. So there is a GKE cluster connected for you, so you can try out things. And there's also a cloudsql postgres database running in Google Cloud connected to you, which then can be used by the applications.
Okay.
So these are the resources you currently have, but if you would be more of a DevOps engineer, you would use like a different part of the Humanitec application and could connect like different clusters to it and different databases and so on.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead, send this. Hopefully it works. It did work.
Yeah. So let's talk very briefly about the response. So you see like your app is created and you have like this metadata, like when it was created and by who, and this is basically the UUID of your user. We're actually planning to change that to have it more clear as well, that you can always see like the username. And then what it's also creating is your first environment within this application, right? Because an application cannot exist without an environment here, and you can basically see that it's called the development environment. So this is where you basically start.
Do I need to save any of these for later, or do I just need to remember the ID of my app?
Yeah. So like what we we will, like in this example, I would say we will only work with the development environment. But basically, if you want to do anything with the environment, we are basically extending the path like apps, then the name of your app, then env, and then the name of the environment, which would be development. So if you want, you could save the name of the environment, but it will be development in our case.
So we have Kevin asking, are we going to see any kubectl? I never know how to pronounce that one. Or does Humanitec obviate the need?
Yeah, so Humanitec has a goal to make like access to Kubernetes and also access to several cloud APIs much easier, right? So we are basically abstracting and adding on top, but you will very soon see that you can clearly see like that this is built on top of Humanitec, or that Humanitec is built on top of Kubernetes, because what we will do soon, we will define like the application, and this would be very close to how the Kubernetes API with kubectl would do it as well.
Cool. So what's next? I have an app, so I have an empty container.
Yeah, so you have a couple of things now. Yeah, you have an empty container, you have your app. Inside that is your environment, which is called development. And now we need to define like what this application is consisting of. For this, what's important to know, and also documented in our documentation, is there is deltas and sets. So set is basically an application definition which is immutable. So once you're deploying an application, basically everything which is then written into the set is basically the state of the application, how it will be. And if you want to change anything on the set, you need to create a delta. And a delta is basically describing the changes you're putting on top of a set. So what we are starting with in the beginning is we are basically starting with a delta, because we are with the first deployment, basically we are defining everything in an application delta.
Okay, so I want to create a new delta, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So let me duplicate that one, put it up. And then we have a question from Christoph on the chat that says, all of these continue to be compatible with Newman? Yes, we're creating a suite of requests here, and ideally at the end we'll be able to just run it at once, and it's going to create everything for us. And you could do that in Postman, but you could also use Newman for it. Okay, so I have this again, and an app ID. So my app ID is actually, yeah.
Yeah, we could put this in there.
Yeah, I'll put it in the environment, but what I'm going to do, how did I call it again? I forgot already. List app.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll do list app, put it here, set it as a variable. Set as new variable in my environment.
I didn't know about this way of doing it. Yeah, interesting. Already learned something. Nice.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite ones. Okay, so I have
convenient. Yeah.
This one, a bunch of headers. I don't need to edit an end body. So what do I need to do here? Just replace all these, I guess.
Actually,
do you want me to pull one?
Actually, we can slim this down a lot. Like
okay.
we can for now we can remove the whole metadata object.
Okay, like so metadata is going here. Gone.
Yeah, and then we will just add an empty modules object, right? So anything inside the modules object can be gone.
Yeah, that's
and that's basically it, right? So this will be like the empty delta basically. Like this is the bare minimum you can create, and this is also like how if you would be using the front end of Humanitec when you're basically starting your application and it's starting with a delta, like this is the bare minimum.
Okay. So send.
Start with. Yeah, you can send this. Also, like
what did I do wrong? Let's see.
Yeah. So no.
Did that resolve? We can actually see what's been sent in the console. So let's see what happened. Postman stream. Oh, I have double
slash.
Forward slash. Yep. Right here. That makes sense. Okay. That's better.
Okay, so we definitely want to save that.
So one thing that I want to be able to do soon, and I know we have some Postman engineers watching the stream every time, if from here I can set a variable, that would be amazing.
Nice. Yeah,
I can do it through tests, I know, but if I could just right click here and boom, set as a variable. Not yet.
Yeah, that would be super helpful. Yeah,
I'm sure they do it soon. So this is my
your delta ID.
Delta ID. Yeah. Okay. So again, for everyone watching, I'm only using current value because this is in the public workspace and I don't want you to access all my data. So that way you can't see it. So I have a new delta, that's fine. Now I guess I have an empty container, I've created my delta and I can start pushing.
Yeah, so now you would populate that delta, right?
Yeah.
So one thing we could do in the beginning, we could either start with the front end or with the backend container, and then building on top of that.
So where do I find this? Let's see.
And one thing I would like to mention as well is like we are doing this now piece by piece, so we can better explain what's happening because there's always a lot of information in each of the patches we are now going to do to the delta. But what can also be done is this can all be done in just one delta, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to have it easy, you can just compile it in one object and then just push it and update it.
Okay. So where does that live? Is this still in delta? Update an existing delta, I'm guessing. That's the one I want to take.
Yes.
Okay. So is there any... it needs an org ID, app ID, delta ID. We have all these. And then here, that's where I add. So I guess
so what we want to do is we want to add a module, basically. It's like metadata we are not caring about right now. This is just to in there to be complete.
So once
again, you can probably see this also from the create new delta. Oh no, we just got the delta ID back basically. Yeah, but if you do the patch request, we'll see in the response what's being changed.
So I need it until apps. App ID is my app ID, and then delta ID is cool. And now, so which one? This one is going to be. We say we start with front end.
Yeah. Let's do that.
So front end add frontend app. So I'm guessing we go in the body. Can I remove the
so we
metadata?
remove metadata, yeah, the whole object.
Yep. Where does this one end here? And in models.
Perfect. So in models, we want to keep at this time, right? So we we are removing like remove and update.
Remove update. Gone.
And then why is there more metadata down there? You can do like several updates.
Oh, that's okay.
So because it's a list object basically, but we just want to have one update now.
Yeah.
Just to have it clear and readable.
Does it need to be an array then, or can I just have it a single object?
Good question. I think it needs to be an array.
Okay. I mean, you tell me. We'll see. I guess we'll see. We send it. And
I always have been sending arrays.
So where do I find the info on this?
Yeah. So this is a good question. So like there's more patch requests. I think down there as examples in deltas, right? So we can. So there's one for.
More to get in too many tabs. Let me clear that a bit.
There's one for changing the environment, and one for changing the namespace. No, we don't want to do that actually.
But let's say I don't have a Nils with me one day, and I want to find like what do I use in this?
It's a bit more tricky. Like I have a couple of examples, and they are also like this kind of example is also documented in our API docs. So if you go to docs like HTTPS and then docs-api.humanitec.com.
docs-api.humanitec.
The other way around, like API-docs. Yay. Okay, and then like if you go on the very top, there's how to deploy an application, like and this is kind of covering this example a little bit. So I put on a couple of examples in here, and this is basically like a documentation like using purely curl, for example.
Yep. And then here it says backend service, frontend service.
Yeah.
So we want the front end.
Yeah, unfortunately, Unfortunately, I just seen this that there is no. Just the indentation is missing.
That's fine.
But Postman can help on that.
Yeah, I'll. So should I just do it in one call?
I have an example prepared where it's also separate codes, right?
Yeah, if you have it.
Maybe you wanna use that, or I send it to you.
I'll grab it. So at front end. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff here. Let's walk through it together. So actually, we quickly have a question, I think, from John. I have not used that path variable format before. Is there a reason it is better than having the variable in the path? Seems like an extra step with path variables if that maps to a regular variable. In the Postman context, it's true. In the Postman context, you may as well just put the variable there rather than just like putting path here, then variable here. I just put it here because it was already pre-populated.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually like doing API specs and not in the context of Postman, then you will want to write it like that.
Yeah, so like this is also in like I also wasn't aware of this in the first place, and I only saw this being generated automatically by moving like the Open API specs into Postman, right? And then it basically comes up like this. But I think it's handy.
We have. Is that the one I copied?
No,
that is not the one I copied. That's the one from that is the one I copied. Yeah. So we have profile, which
Yeah, so we are defining a profile, and this is kind of the base for an application to run in Humanitec, and we are starting now to also provide different profiles. So this is just a default module, and it comes with a couple of defaults which you want to put on applications if they are running with Humanitec. A sidecar, which is getting the logs from the containers and showing that on the Humanitec API, which is actually talking through a WebSocket endpoint. Maybe we can have a look later, and things like that.
Okay.
And then what we see next is like a service port. So usually a container is exposed on a specific port. So you need to define this as well. And for this app, it's just 8080. Like for now, the ingress is enabled set to false, but we'll change this later. And then it goes down to the definition of the container. And here you can already see like the similarities between the Humanitec API and the Kubernetes API, because you're now defining like the image path. Like, so you need to have a registry, like in the registry humanitec.io/public is actually publicly available, and there's this sample app. Just a second, I just need to help. Just need to help my daughter.
In the meantime, let's see. Can you share the API source link? Yeah. So I think it's been shared above, but if you do here and search for, you want actually, I just realized you want the base URL. Go here and send you. This would be the base URL that you can find in the documentation as well. Hannah says hello to your daughter.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I was just answering a question on the chat. Back to this. So yeah, we're pulling that image from the public registry.
So we're defining this image basically where the sample app is lying, and then in Kubernetes, what you do as well is you're defining resources for your container. So this one will get assigned like what is it, like a quarter of a CPU. And basically 265 megabytes of memory is basically the upper limit, and then the general request is defined further down. But these are basically like defined through the Kubernetes API, like how these are being set.
So someone's asking for the documentation, so we just send them that. Okay. So we're looking for Humanitec space, and then I can send you a direct link to public API documentation up right here. There you go. Okay, cool. So we've got the limits, we've got the request, and I can just send that.
There's a couple of like empty things set up. Basically, you can add variables, you can add secrets to the application, you can define a couple of like external resources also in addition, but we don't care about these right now.
Let me send and see what happens. 200, okay. I like to see that.
Yeah, now you're getting actually a nice response, right? So you're actually like seeing the metadata for this. For this delta, like when was it created, last modified, and these kind of things. Okay. And you can also then verify that like the things that we're setting are actually in there.
Okay,
cool. So one thing we want to do for the front end, we want to expose it, and for this it's just a very simple like update we need to do. We need to set the ingress to enabled, right? So we already saw this in this object there. We could have done it already by sending it in this object.
So I want to duplicate that request, or just send the same one.
So now what's important actually is what we need to do now is we need to do an update operation on the module, right? So you have basically like, if you look at that request body, we have modules and then add. And what we want to do instead is an update operation. So we do update instead.
Update.
And then sample app. And then basically we want to apply an like everything which is in sample app, you can remove, and we want to apply an array.
Okay. Oh, wait. I'm just duplicating it so then we can keep a track of everything we've done.
Yeah.
Update, and I can remove, you said?
Anything inside sample app.
And then inside sample app, which goes all the way here. Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
And then we put an array around it because we can do like several update operations if we want to. Like just on the, no, not there, but on the object inside sample app. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. And then maybe I can send you this part on a private chat. It's not very big, but basically what we are doing now as an update is we are adding the ingress enabled with the value true, right? Okay. So it's a bit of like overcomplicating it, but it's putting it as a separate request basically to know like how we can like switch on and switch off the ingress. And ingress means basically that the application will be accessible from the outside. So what's also happening there is that in the demo environment for Humanitec, there's also a AWS Route 53 is attached with a wildcard certificate. So this will create you a random URL under this wildcard certificate for your application. So you can directly access it and use it, which makes it much easier for software developers, so they don't need to care about like HTTPS and like issuing a certificate and getting a domain and all these kind of things. So this is all like handled for you as a developer.
I'll send. Cool.
Hey. Nice.
Okay.
And then in the response, like if we quickly check, like we should see like ingress should be now true, right? So
I can do search. Yep. Cool. So should I be able to access it currently, even though it's not gonna?
Like what we can do already? Like we only added the front end now, and we are and it's all saved in this delta. So nothing happen inside your cluster yet. Like this is just
we're just creating
just a description for your application. Like, but what we can do is we can, like the current state we have with one module, we would be able to deploy this, right?
Okay.
So if you look at environments deploy, it's under application, right? So application ID.
Yep. App ID, environment.
Yeah.
Environment ID deploys. Okay. Yes. Start a new deployment.
Yes, start a new deployment. This is what we want to do.
Duplicate. Okay, so we're kind of going out of the loop to just like start it here, but let's see. So
yeah, I think it's interesting to see what we achieved so far.
Base URL. App ID is my app ID. I don't have the environment ID itself. It's just development.
Yeah.
And that's body, comment, delta ID. Okay, delta ID.
So in the, delta ID is clear. We have that already. And then in the comment, you can put in like any comment, basically, like first deploy or something like that.
First deploy to see. Okay. So it's just, I guess it's just going to come back and tell me it's starting a deployment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is where the magic happens, right? So this is where you basically hit the deploy button and Humanitec pulled everything together for you, right? So it's talking to the Kubernetes API, it's talking to the AWS API to create this certificate for you and so on.
Okay, and so have a status in progress. How do I check that status? Do I just list the deployments and wait for it to be?
So you can do that, but you can list the deployment and also like get the deployment ID, right? And then you would at some point like see the development, turning basically the status. But what's nicer is we also offer a runtime status. So that's basically under
here runtime. Get runtime.
Get runtime, and this is basically like the like the full information you can get for your application.
Yep. Okay, so same again. Change the base URL. Environment ID is. I'm going to add it to the. I'm going to add it to the because I feel like we're going to use it again, and I regret that I didn't have it. Development. Okay. And app ID, we have it to app. Okay. And I can just send this.
Mm-hmm. Save probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this looks good, right? So what we see now, it created a namespace for us in Kubernetes, and you see this nice UUID. So that's the namespace inside the Kubernetes cluster. You have the sample app module, and it's containing of a pod called sample app, and then there's this number behind it or ID behind it. It's running with one replica, so this is also something we could update. Like we could have several replicas to have a better load balancing if you're expecting like more traffic on it. And it already says like the
success
container is running, status is successful, and these are directly the statuses directly from the Kubernetes API, right? So that's all there, and you can also see like there's a nice little sidecar container which we injected, which is called the Humanitec Locker agent, which is then providing you with the logs basically on the front end. And that's it. So we see that like this runtime status gives us all the information from Kubernetes, but what we also want to know is like which resources have been deployed with your application or with this environment, with this deployment. And for that, we have a resource endpoint.
Let's see. Where is this one hiding?
It's probably, it might be under apps. Let me quickly double check. Like, is there a way to search like inside the collection for a specific endpoint? Or
what am I searching for?
Resources.
Yeah, so there's a resources thing here, account, create a resource, list or resource.
List or resource.
But that's
wait. No, that's for connecting like different resources. But there's also
list all dynamic resources I have. List all active resource.
Here, list all active resources. So we're looking for an active resource, and it's actually under the environments. So list all active resources. This is what we want to do.
Oh yeah, that's this one. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one actually. Okay, in that case, can I duplicate it from here? Yep, and then so I have it. Nope. Oh, I lost it now. You said it was under app ID environment.
App envs and there under envs. So there, list all active resources.
Yep. Cool. Okay. ID. Profile not found. What did I do? Yep. That's what I did wrong. I need to keep apps, don't I? Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Console. Postman stream app.
Development. Resources. So list all active resources. Let me check. So it's already apps, envs, development, and then resources. Yeah.
Am I? No, that looks.
There the app ID is missing, so it gives you a 404 because.
Oh, did I miss it from the? Oh yeah, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Better.
Yay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look. So there's two objects basically, right? So the first object is basically our default demo cluster, and you can see, for example, the load balancer endpoint of this and the actual cluster name. It's named cluster 2. And here you would also see, like, if you have your own clusters connected to it, it would show them up here. So you would always know, like, on which cluster your application would be running.
Yep.
And then the second one is basically the type DNS you see in the center. And here we have the random DNS record being created for you.
Cronin Volkmann.
Yeah. It's like, it's always a combination of names, but I don't know.
So if I access that,
yeah,
yay,
cool.
What we could threaten it down and say, "Promise it works. Promise it works." There's a database. No,
there's no database now, right? Yeah. So basically, what you see now, because it's a nice sample app, it basically tells you, like, I can't connect to my database, and then it describes you the steps of the UI you have to take in order to add the database, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a good first step. We have something to show for. Which is
we can already try to post a task and see how it fails. Like, it's not. Yeah, and nothing is happening. Yeah,
gracefully, because nothing happens. Okay. So
all right.
That's exciting.
So we want to add a database, backend and a database.
Yeah. So now we can just. I guess I can duplicate these ones. I'll duplicate it once, and I'll duplicate it twice.
Yeah.
This one is going to be backend. Do I want to have the database before so then I can link it, or do I create them whichever order and then link them together?
So the database is just another detail in this delta, basically.
Okay.
Right? So that it should create a database. But like, I mean, like we can have them all separated, or we can have them also in one object if you want to.
No, it's fine. We'll keep them like this because we have the sample body already written, so that's it's gonna help.
Yeah.
So because I duplicated the one that I had already created before, it's already filled in with my app ID, my delta ID. All I need to do now is just make sure that I have the right body for the backend.
Mm-hmm.
And Nils has that ready for me. So if I go,
so the right body for the backend, yes.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to. So I guess this one is a bit like the front end, right? Like we'll have a profile, that's the default one.
Yeah.
A container,
so it's exactly the same. Like the ingress is disabled here because we actually don't want to expose our backend, right? Because the backend and the front end, they will run inside the same namespace in your Kubernetes cluster, so they will be able to communicate internally. So you're not required to expose your backend, essentially.
So let's
and it's
So I'm adding this to the delta, right? Mm-hmm. Yep, and it is added. Cool. Yeah. Database now.
Cool.
Let me see. Postgres database. Oh, this one is easy. We could have written that one. Let's see.
Yeah, it's easy because it's just describing the type, right? And the reason why this is easy because the heavy lifting or the definition of what this type means for you is already done by a DevOps engineer using Humanitec, kind of, right? So because Humanitec is already providing you with this cloud connection to this cloudsql database instance, it will just say, because I need another Postgres database, it will just go to this instance, create one, and then let you know.
So it's only an update.
So another update operation. Yeah.
Okay. 200, okay. Love to see it.
Cool. And then we're missing one more thing, because what this requires, the backend requires a connection string to be able to connect to the database. Like, this is not hard-coded because you don't want to do this sort of thing when you're building an application. You want to have it available as an environment variable, right? So what we need to do is now we need to add a very specific environment variable to the sample service.
Okay. So is that another patch?
Yeah, it's just another patch.
And this is going to be add string, connection string
Yeah.
to that
backend
works.
or,
Yeah. Just save this. Okay. And this one is connection string. Okay. Let's see what this one does.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So we see again, like it's an operation add, and it adds on a specific path. So this kind of variables path we've seen before, which was empty in the delta, and we set one environment variable with the name connection string, and the value for this is a little bit more interesting. It's the PostgreSQL connection string, but inside this connection string, you see those dollar and curly brackets open. It's basically adding placeholder variables, because at this point, the database is not existing, right? So when the database is being created, those variables will be replaced with the proper username and with the password, the host, the port, and also the name of the database.
Okay. So let's do send. Okay, so now we have, let's go back to, for anyone that's joined later and isn't quite sure what we're doing, because we're going through quite a few things.
Yeah.
Actually, let me copy image address. I want to have it shown on the, okay, that's better for like contrast. Okay, so what we've done in that collection, and you'll be able to fork it later as well from Humanitec public workspace. We started by creating the front end here, right?
It's further down, like the web client is just representing us basically.
Oh yeah, this is me. Yeah, that's it's the browser. Okay, so we've created the front end here, and we've actually added it to the Delta and deployed it, right?
Yeah.
So, and now this
is already running in the cluster.
Yeah, this is only in the Delta for now. And the connection to the PostgreSQL database is also just in the Delta. It's not actually running yet.
And the database is not yet created, right?
Yeah, it's not yet created.
Also defined.
So now we're going to run the deploy again, and it's going to create this, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And this as well, hopefully, because it's running in the same cluster.
So it's running in the same cluster. So we already, like, the cluster already existed, and what was created was a namespace for this application. So the sample service will go into the same namespace as a front-end service.
Okay. So we're going to press the big deploy button and hope that it all goes together. So can I reuse the same deploy one that I had? Like this one.
I think you should be able to, because we updated the same Delta ID. What you can do is you can basically update the comment if you want to, right? So the comment is kind of a nice way for the developer to keep some track of the different deployments they're doing, right? So we are now adding, like, the backend, for example. Yeah.
Okay. So second deploy, we've added a lot of things, and we're just going to cross our fingers that everything goes right. So let's go ahead.
Cool. And what would be interesting now, if you now hit directly the runtime endpoint, right? So we want to see, like, that things are not fully successful. So we see, like, the sample app is up there, and this is still running and good. And there's nothing new. Press again, send. Let's see.
Oh.
And now we have the sample service, and it's also started success, so it's already running. So it's
too fast.
It's a pretty small container, yeah. Like, if the container is already cached inside the cluster, then this goes quite quickly.
Okay.
And you have an interesting sidecar also running here. Basically, to the sample service itself, if you go further down, there is the sample service cloudsql proxy, right? And how this works is, because we are using, in this case, we are using a GKE cluster. So it's also running inside Google Cloud. We can basically use a proxy container, so the IP of the database would be available through localhost to the application. So this is what the proxy is basically doing for you.
Okay, so it's already running technically.
Yeah.
So now I can go back to my app.
Yeah, go to the URL.
We do a hard refresh. Oh, that's not the one. That's the one.
Yay! So this information is gone, and now let's try if we can send something to the database. You probably also want to give it a task name, I think. Yeah.
It's a
It's on top is target. I don't know if it's basically like this kind of key.
I'm gonna be the QA on this stream. I'm just gonna try to break it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that works perfect. Nice.
Perfect.
So and it's already doing a round trip at this point, right? So it's sending basically to the backend, which has an API endpoint, and then it's being displayed at the front end again.
Yeah, and so the way we can see that it's not just like saved on my local machine is that if I refresh the page, it should keep the.
Send the link to the app to the audience. Maybe someone else can add something.
Good point.
Please only add nice things.
We only accept nice comments. Otherwise, we're gonna have to just burn the database to the ground. It's not fun.
Yeah. I mean, next we should talk about the delete application endpoint, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. There's always this thing where people create tutorials, but never tell you how to revert.
Yeah.
So you end up. I mean, I know my PC is full of I have a GitHub folder like everyone, and it's full of stuff that I don't even know how to revert. And so it's always good to have that endpoint available.
But being a QA engineer, like for me, it's super important. Like when there is a new endpoint being developed, that there's always a delete function available, so I can easily add it to my automation, like do whatever I want, and also my automation can clean up after itself. Like this is very convenient. And
so if I refresh, maybe we'll get new stuff.
Yeah,
let's see. I'll do it quickly on the side here.
Just to be safe. Nice.
I know who added a comment. So we have John's work alias. That's always high on AMC and GME stocks. But at least it's good.
Perfect. Yeah, cool. This is working. Nice.
And we get to know what's happening with the. Oh, we need to sell. You're saying, John? Do we need to sell? Or do we need to buy? I thought the bubble had broke like a couple of weeks ago. You were saying. Okay, let's see. Maybe you can reply either on the chat or as a comment here. Let's see. Okay, cool. So we've done a lot of stuff actually. So let me just make sure that we can go back to the start before. Do we want to delete it completely? Yeah, maybe. Just have it available.
Yeah. So I mean, then it's gone, and we can just recreate it if you want to.
True.
It will be a different version. It won't be the same, right?
True.
So the namespace will be different, and the URL will be different. It will be never the same again.
Actually, let's keep it
because it's all dynamically created.
I am going to show though that there is so which delete would we want to use? So this one is if we did the environment, that works.
Yeah, if you delete the environment, this would work, or delete the whole application, this would also work.
Okay, that's probably let's see, app ID. Yeah, delete an application. So I have that endpoint. What does it take in parameters? An org ID, an app ID, and that's it.
And
just
that's
an org ID and an app ID,
and then it's
gone. Actually, I'll get it ready.
All this work,
Yeah, true. I'll get it ready for right before we leave, and then I can just hit it. My org ID is wait, what is my org? Oh no, I don't need that because it's part of the base URL. The one I just need the app ID. Okay, so I have that endpoint here. I'll save it for later. Cool. So I think we did well. We're a bit before the end. I mean, we always try to finish between 8 p.m. or 8:30, so 9 p.m. or 9:30 for you because you're in Germany. But yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So let's go back to the architecture. We've created each of these items, and this one we've created a database on a PostgreSQL that was existing, right? Like we just added a database on it. So
it's a cloudsql instance basically running in Google Cloud.
Yeah, and then deployed the whole app, exposed the front-end version, so that small React application to the world. And me, the web client, came in and just added some tasks. So the way we did that during the stream was just like walking through each of them one by one. The idea is that you want it to be automated. You don't want to have to recreate that yourself, or you create it once and then you just have it work every time. All of this can just be run using the collection runner. And I'm going to share your collection right after that is already working. But yeah, what I could do is go to that collection, go to the collection runner, and run. Obviously, don't run this one. But yeah, with that said, Nils, you've created a collection that does all that and better. And that's what
it's nicely documented. Yeah,
it's nicely documented, and what it does, it does a few fancy things. So again, I'm going to
that's true.
I'm going to share it with the world. Let me go back to.
I'm usually more of a Python person, so it's always a challenge for me to go into JavaScript. But
so we've shared
I tried my very best.
we've shared the Humanitec public workspace before, so that's the one I thought, the public API. But there's also this one, deploy an application to Kubernetes. Just quickly, to help make the code work in sequence without the manual variables set, the tester needs to read the responses that set the environment variables. Indeed. Are you actually doing this in yours? Are you sitting there?
Yeah, so I'm doing this get user info, right? So
there you go.
And just setting the org ID, because it's like the main object or the main ID you basically need for all other.
Yeah. So exactly, John, what you were saying. So that collection that I'm going to share again the link of for everyone. That collection does a few fancy things, including setting directly the right variable for it to be reused in subsequent variables.
Yeah.
But it also, so if we go back to what we've done, create an application, create the delta, populate the delta, deploy it, and then it check if the application is running.
Yeah.
And what you've been doing here, which is pretty cool, when you run it in the collection runner. So you're just looping on the same request, checking if it's deployed. And when it's deployed, then you move on to the next one. But otherwise, we just keep on looping. So we've seen it's pretty fast, but I'm guessing you may have some customers that are like doing or like putting bigger images from your public, where it doesn't just take like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you have, for example, like there's like we also offer the possibility to add a Elasticsearch cluster to your application, like a managed Elasticsearch cluster, and you can just select it as a module or workload as well, and that usually takes a minute or up to 5 sometimes until it's fully up and running. Right, it's a big kind of application then.
Jet is only saying it would be nice to set as variable from directly in a response. Yes, I said just that earlier.
And I'm doing this as well. Like look at create application, for example. Yeah. So if you look at create application, for example, it's
create exactly application. That.
Yeah. And it's also doing like a nice thing on the pre-request script, right? So this is like one of my so it's basically because if you're like creating application over application, like those IDs need to be unique, right? So once you try to create the same application ID again, it will give you a 409, like a conflict. So
and you're using the Faker library already. Just get a random int. Very nice.
Thanks for that hint.
Very nice. Cool. Okay, so that's my side done. Now I'll give you, we've talked about a lot of stuff on the Humanitec side, but there may be stuff that we've not talked about. So I just want to give you a chance to share some stuff if you want to.
Yeah, cool.
Are you sharing your screen? No, not yet.
Not yet, but I would.
Yep. Wait. Yeah, there we go.
Nice. So we already talked about Humanitec, and it's absolutely free to try it out, right? So there's a community edition you can use forever. So nothing, no strings attached. One thing which is quite interesting, like this term internal developer platform, like a lot of modern development teams are talking about this, and a lot of teams have been building like for just their own purpose, like internal developer platforms to make it easier for developers and platform or ops teams to get things done, basically. And this kind of brought us to the term internal developer platform, and there's basically a whole website about this as well, like internaldeveloperplatform.org, and we are contributing with a lot of other companies and a lot of other contributors on this, on what's important, what is the ecosystem, what are different like integrations you want to have in your internal developer platform, and so on, like what's important to you, what kind of CI tools are you using, and how would you connect those to an internal developer platform, and then what kind of like concepts are important for these kind of things. For example, if you're talking like about code changes on the one thing, like GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, they're taking quite well care of it. But if you're talking like about application management, like all those things you're setting as environment variables, or like particular databases and these kind of things, you also want to keep version and track and changes on those, right? So application configuration management is a very important part of it.
Cool.
Yeah. And
yeah,
sorry.
the one and only.
Yeah, so feel free to explore, right? So we have this team space on Postman. I definitely want to update it more. There's more services we are.
Yeah, you need a banner. You need an image at the top.
There's
a nice
yeah,
image
okay.
there.
I should add more love to this, I guess. Is it also possible to add images here? No, but it also says no. I should also fix that.
No, there's Markdown support in the long description, but I don't think there is in the short one.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's a good suggestion. We can look into that.
Maybe. Yeah, and then obviously, yeah. Sorry.
That was a question for you from John. Are there any limitations for the free version? Memory, CPU, disk?
Like, there's not much limitation. Like we have this community edition with free forever. We kind of want to limit it on 5 different users who can work in a team, and we're setting this like a limit of 50 deployments per week. And then obviously, like Humanitec is more the API and not like the demo resources connected to it, right? So if you want to use it for yourself, you probably want to connect your own Kubernetes cluster to it, your own database instance if you need a database, and your own like wildcard certificate maybe, or other things. Right?
Okay.
So
cool.
That's the idea.
There was Go ahead.
Yeah, there's documentation available. Like we have docs.humanitec.com, and then also like directly from here to our generated API docs. But here's also some nice example explained on how you do things with the UI. We are also planning for a CLI, but it's not fully ready yet.
Well, you have the introduction. That's good. It's a good start. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's the API docs. But yeah, we've seen that. Cool.
Cool. So let me remove your screen. Cool. So done a lot of stuff. That was we usually, as I mentioned at the beginning, we usually have like stay a lot in the API world. So it's interesting to kind of cross the Kubernetes API ops. I guess it's somehow API ops or just DevOps.
Yeah. You can. I mean, you can call it API ops. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're using like directly the API to spin up your whole infrastructure and then the applications on top of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting. And we have Christoph saying that the CLI is on closed beta.
Yeah. Okay.
Good to know. Okay, then with that said, you've done your shoutouts. Do I have any shoutouts today? Not quite yet. We have some cool stuff coming up for WebSockets support, but also some of the team members that have been creating like games, etc., to play with WebSockets. So that's hopefully going to be available to just play with soon, and we'll share that. Otherwise, I think that's going to be it for today. We hope you all had a good time. Make sure that you check Humanitec, their public workspace. Keep using Postman. Play with it. Bring us your feedback. And with that said, bye everyone. Bye Nils.
Yeah.
Thank you
for
your
time.
Thank you very
much. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. It was fun.
Bye.
See you. Bye.